there, my name's Lucia Ferrara and I'm Director of Hospitality here at the Precious Blood Renewal Center. And today we are going to make Easter bread, or in Italian we call it Pane di Pasqua. So there are many variations of this recipe out there. This is the one that I'm familiar with and that I use at home when baking some Easter bread. And I'm going to first go over the ingredients for the bread, so everything that you're going to need to make the bread. But before we start, I just want you to see, this is what I'm talking about. I made some, and this is what we're going to end up with. So we're going to have some Easter bread that looks like that. Okay? So let's start here. And we are going to have 3.5 to 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 2/3 cup of milk, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of butter at room temperature. Now some recipes do call for it to be melted. I just put mine in there for about 25 seconds just to, you know, get it soft, and sometimes depending on your microwave it turns it into melted butter. Then we're going to need 2 eggs. We're going to need 1 packet of the instant quick rise yeast. Or if you don't have the packets, we'll need 2 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, just about a pinch of salt to 1/2 teaspoon. We're going to do your choice of either zest of orange or zest of lemon. I like both. We're going to use some anise extract, and we use about a teaspoon. Now, I like to use the anise as extract. Some people also like vanilla, and some people will use lemon or almond. Okay? Keep your extracts handy because we're going to make a glaze later towards the end, so we'll have that. And then you're going to need, for the glaze itself, you're going to need about a cup of confector's sugar, about 2 tablespoons of milk or water, and then your choice of either anise extract, lemon extract, or vanilla, or almond for the glaze, okay? And then you're going to need to set aside 1 beaten egg and about 1 to 2 tablespoons of water. I want you to beat it together, and we're going to set that to the side too for later. Okay? So, Easter bread is a fun bread. It's a fun bread to make with your children, with your family, with neighbors, friends. It's really, really fun. And the Easter bread has a bit of a tradition. The tradition of Easter bread dates back centuries ago in many parts of the world. And the symbolism of the bread signifies, actually, the braids in the bread signify the thorns that Jesus wore on the cross. And the egg represents rebirth. So when an egg lies dormant, really, it's still live, but when we crack the egg, it's a resurrection, and that's the symbolism behind it. Some parts of the world color their eggs. Today we're going to use colored eggs, so I've already dyed some eggs. You're going to need about 6 eggs. Do not boil them. You're just going to color them if you like to do that. You can use the white regular eggs. I like to dye mine because the kids love the different colors. The eggs will cook in the oven. okay, when you're baking the bread. And we'll show you how to do that. All right? And, well, what's funny is, in this part of the world, that's our tradition at Easter. We like to color eggs with the kids, all different colors. And, for example, in Greece, their tradition is they like to color their eggs all red, which symbolizes the blood of Jesus. So I thought that was kind of interesting tradition. So everyone has different traditions, and so you can start making yours by maybe learning how to make this bread today. So we're going to make, first we're going to prepare the sponge. The sponge for the cake is this. You take 1 cup of flour, okay? You take 1/4 of a cup of sugar, all right? And you're going to take your milk, your 2/3 cup milk. Now, you want it warm to touch, okay? Usually that's about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. I put mine in the microwave for about 45 seconds, and then I just let it sit on the counter for about a minute or so, okay? So what we're gonna do, I've already got the sugar and the flour, and you just kind of mix that in, okay? Then I am going to combine those, and I'm going to sprinkle the yeast on top, okay? And then I'm going to pour the milk in there. Not all of it, about half of it, because we're going to use the milk a little bit later. Just going to try to cover that yeast, okay? So we're going to set this aside for about 10 minutes. Okay, so now that our sponge has kind of gotten puffy and spongy, which is what we want, we're going to add this in to our bowl. But before we do that, we're going to put in the remaining amount of the flour. So I already put in 3 cups of the all-purpose flour, okay? So now I'm going to put this in. So we're going to put all of this in there, okay? I'm going to scrape it all out. Okay. All right. And then you're going to add your butter, your 1/4 cup of butter. Remember, room temperature is best. Okay. Then we're going to add, I just like to do a little pinch of salt like that. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to do the eggs, 2 eggs. Put those in there. Okay. Then we're going to add the milk. Okay. So we are going to put the milk in there. We are going to turn this on. Okay, that's secured in place. And we're going to start. We're just going to let it start kneading for about 2 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to start scraping the sides. So this way it kind of gets all of it. And there we go. We're going to let that knead for about 2 minutes. You're going to have to kind of adjust how fast or slow. It kind of depends on your mixer. I kind of start out, if your mixer has numbers on it, I kind of start out like at 5 or 6 just to get it going a little bit. And then I turn it down to about 4. So we're going to let that go. And the dough is going to be very sticky once it's done, okay? So we're just going to let this go here for a quick minute. And what we're going to add last to it is we are going to add the zest. I'm going to use an orange today. So we're going to add the zest in here last because we're going to need it just for about 30 more seconds after that. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of the anise extract. About a teaspoon, not a whole lot. It just gives it a flavor. And a lot of times with this dough is some people also like to add dried fruit. So you can add your dry raisins or dates or even cranberries, dried cranberries. But this bread is really meant to be like a brioche bread where it's kind of sweet. So, yeah. Okay, it's looking pretty good. So I am going to add my zest. I've already cleaned it, okay? So I'm just going to add some zest in here. Always wash your fruit before you, and when you zest an orange, usually, I don't measure it out. I mean, but I would do maybe a fourth of it, but really you can do as much as you want. It's whatever flavor. You know, if you like a strong citrus flavor to your bread, that's fine too. If you don't, you just want a hint of it, then don't zest a whole lot, okay? I think that's all I'm going to do for mine, okay? And then you are going to add just maybe a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of the anise oil. You can use oil or extract. Okay, so I put the extract. Now we're going to need this for about another 30 seconds. Just to get that zest. And while I'm waiting to get that done, I'm going to move my stuff. And what you're going to do is get about a half a cup of your flour. And you're going to turn your dough here. Okay. All right. So your dough's going to be a little sticky. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take it out of here. We're going to put it on our floured surface. We're going to knead it for about, I don't know, a minute by hand. Okay. And it just kind of activates the gluten in the yeast. So I'm going to do this. And you may not need a whole lot of flour. which is fine. But you're going to leave your flowered surface as is, okay? So, all right. I think this is it. Okay. Now I kind of shape it into a ball. Okay. I'm going to get my bowl here. What we're going to place the bowl. You want it to be greased. So I'm going to put, I don't know, that's probably what, a tablespoon or two of oil. Can be olive oil, can be vegetable oil, whatever oil you have on hand. Okay, make sure that's good. We're going to place our dough in there. Then we are going to place the plastic wrap on top. Okay, and make sure that's good and tight. You're going to let this rise for about an hour and a half to 2, okay? And typically you want it in a warm place, okay? So, some ideas for a warm place. If you have a Rubbermaid container, you could put this in a Rubbermaid container, put the lid on top, keep it in there. You could put it on top of your stove. It's usually a little warm. But what I do is I like to put mine in the oven because it's dark. I'm not going to go in there. I'm going to stick my timer in there. It's usually a good temperature. And it's not going to be warm or anything because so nothing's going to burn. So I'm going to stick this in my oven for about an hour and a half to 2. So at an hour and a half, I'm going to come back and check it and see how much it's risen. And then we'll go from there. All right, so our dough has risen. And I'm going to take the plastic covering off. Oh, that looks so beautiful. And it smells good too. So I'm going to gently punch down my dough just to deflate it. I'm going to take it out, put it onto my floured surface. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to try to cut these in strips. So this recipe should yield, depending on how big your strips are, it should yield about 6 small little breads. Okay, so I'm going to try to see if I can't get about 12 little strips in here. We may have to adjust. Okay. So we're just going to kind of make some strips. And this is what we're doing. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We may be able to, this one looks like a big piece. Okay, we can always adjust. So what we're going to do, we're going to set these aside. All right, now what you're going to do is you're going to start rolling these into ropes. Okay, so usually they're about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick, It just kind of depends for right now. Okay. So there's one. You want to roll it. It's about 12 inches to 16 inches long. Okay. They kind of remind me of little snakes. So you're just going to kind of take them and you're going to roll them out like this. Okay. I need some more flour. And you're just going to roll them just like this. Take your next one and roll it out. Usually it helps to roll from the center out. So now that we have them all rolled out, I'm going to take 2 of these strips. I'm going to kind of pinch the top here. And then I'm just going to twist this together. Bring it around. Pinch this. There we go. And there is your bread. Now I'm going to stick one of these in there. You're going to embed it. Okay. Go on to the next one. Again, you're going to pinch your top. You're going to braid it. Going to bring it together. You may have to pinch it as well. Kind of work with it there. Okay. Then you're going to take another egg, embed it. So you're going to repeat this process until they're all done. So I've got a few more here, so we're going to braid it. Okay. And bring it together again.
Wait.
And there's another one. Embed the egg. Okay. And you just repeat that process. And there we go. Now, what you're going to do here, you've got your breads ready to go. And we're going to cover this with plastic wrap. And you're going to let it rise for an additional 30 minutes. Okay? And then, while this is rising, you're going to preheat your oven at 350 degrees. Okay? And I'm going to stick this back into my empty oven that's not getting preheated. And I will check them again in 30 minutes because the dough should rise again, and then we can bake. Okay, so we've let these rise again just a bit for 30 minutes. So I'm going to take the plastic wrap off. Okay. And Remember earlier I said prepare some egg wash. So that's just one beaten egg with some water in it. You kind of beat it up. And these here look really nice. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to just kind of paint this on. So we're just going to kind of do this. And this, all this does is kind of binds it together and gives it a real pretty shine when it bakes. Okay, now some people like to add other decoration, like maybe it's colored sugar, maybe it's cinnamon, maybe it's sprinkles. But what I like to do, it's kind of fun too with the kids, is we make a glaze. So once these get out of the oven, we'll make our glaze, and we will drizzle the glaze on, and then a fun thing for the kids to do is have them put the sprinkles on. But I'm gonna get to do that because I'm a big kid. So here we are, we're almost done. Gonna make these look real pretty. And then you are going to stick this in your preheated oven at 350. Gonna stick this in there for about 25 to 30 minutes. Do not open your oven door for that long, okay? So we're gonna stick them in the oven. Okay, so I pulled it out of the oven and they look marvelous. So I'm gonna put them here on my counter. Smells great, by the way. And now let these cool for about 5 minutes out of the oven. But in the meantime, okay, so here we are. Here's your Pane di Pasqua. So while they're cooling, we're going to make our glaze. So I've got about 1 cup of confectioner's sugar here. Then I'm going to add about a ½ teaspoon, not a lot, of your favorite extract. That could be vanilla, could be anise, could be lemon. I'm using vanilla. So I'm just going to do about a ½ teaspoon. I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of milk, but I'm going to add it slowly because I need to check the consistency of the glaze. You don't want it too runny. You don't want it too stiff because then you're not going to be able to put it on your... Okay, so I think, to me, this is about the right consistency of the glaze that I want to use. Okay, so as soon as they cool down, like I said, you want to give them about 10 minutes. And then we're going to... All right, so they have been cooling off here for about 5 or 10 minutes. And we have our glaze. And I got a pastry brush, and you can see I went ahead and started on 1. So I'm going to continue the process on this one. Now you just kind of want to be kind of generous, and like I said, some people like to drizzle it, some people like to brush it like I do. I like to brush it because I feel like I can kind of control where I put my glaze. 'Cause I don't like my glaze over my eggs. Now these eggs should be cooked, and if you want to eat them, you can. But if you don't have to. So again, we're going to just brush on the glaze. And you have, and the sprinkles are completely optional. They're just kind of fun for kids to kind of take part in something and being able to engage in the activity. So I am going to finish glazing these, and then I'm going to sprinkle, because I'm a big kid, I like my sprinkles. Okay, so here we go. Don't those look absolutely yummy? Okay? They smell good, they taste good. All right, and there you have Pane di Pasqua, Easter bread. So invite your friends, your family, and for coffee and tea, and enjoy your bread. And we'll see you next time.